Hey guys, it's Julia. So today's video is going to be a massive palette anti-haul. So I did my first anti-haul on my channel, I want to say 2 months ago, like end of November, and I got a lot of good feedback on that video. So I figured I would do a second part because so many new eyeshadow palettes are coming out, especially right now because of the turn of the new year. There's just so many things flooding the beauty market. As I said in my last video, I feel like there's kind of a certain pressure, especially if you're in the beauty community or if you are a beauty YouTuber like I am, to just buy all the new stuff and try everything and just fill up your collection, and you don't need to do that, especially because so many of the things coming out are things I already have in my collection. So I'm just going to be going through the new releases and telling you what I will not be buying. Just as a disclaimer, I'm not trying to offend anyone, these are all my opinions. If you see some of these things and you want to buy them, more power to you, go ahead. I'm just not going to be adding them to my collection because I don't need them for whatever reason, I don't want them, or I just have some kind of issue with it. So yeah, let's get right into the video. Just again, I'm not trying to be negative in any way. I hope you guys enjoy it. And yeah, let's get started with my anti-haul. Alright, and before I start talking, I just want to say thank you to everyone who has followed me on my Instagram page. I post a lot of my makeup looks on there and I've gotten so much support. I do want to mention though, some people have requested to follow me on my personal Instagram, which is Julia Mazzucato. My public Instagram is Julia C Mazzucato, so make sure you have the C in there because I've had some people try and request to follow me on my personal Instagram, which is where my mom follows me, so that is a completely separate account. Follow Julia C Mazzucato if you want my makeup looks and just my public Instagram. But yeah, with that being said, let's get right into the anti-haul. I cannot wait to show you guys what I will not be buying. So if you see me looking down during the video, it's because I have my laptop on my lap and that has all the products on it. So I'm just going to be looking down every now and then just to see what I'm talking about. But let's start off with the first palette, and this is from Morphe. So Morphe is coming out with a new collection, and they underwent their like brand rebranding thing in October, I want to say. So basically they revamped their packaging. They just made everything more high-end, kind of sleek, and I really like the direction they're going with their brand, so they're releasing a lot of new products, and I think it's really cool. They are coming out with a 24G palette. This is a palette with 24 colors. It seems to be a lot of like rosy tones, reds, pinks, so really good for like Valentine's Day, and then the pans are super big. They're 2.2 times the size of a normal Morphe pan, so you're getting a lot of eyeshadow, and then the price is going to be $29. So I'm not going to be buying this just because I don't need bigger eyeshadow pans because I never go through a normal size eyeshadow pan anyway, so I don't see what the point of having a big eyeshadow pan is unless you're only using this palette like every single day. I could get that, but I have like 40 plus eyeshadow palettes and I try to cycle through them constantly, so I don't use the same palette every day and there's no point in me getting bigger pan sizes. Also, this is $30 and the colors look gorgeous. I'm sure the quality is amazing. I do love Morphe shadows, but I already have this palette somewhere in my collection. I have these colors, so I do not need this palette and I'm going to be passing on it. I do think the price is a little bit steep, but you are getting a lot of products, so I'm not going to be buying the Morphe 24G palette, but let me know what you think. Alright, next up there is a big release coming from Too Faced, and it is the White Peaches palette. So this is kind of the sister palette, I guess, to the Just Peachy Mattes palette, and when I saw the colors inside, I was like, really? So this is kind of a palette I'm going to be a little shady about because I honestly just think the colors in here make no sense and they're just kind of ugly. The colors in here, there's a lot of really, really light shades and then 2 dark shades, so this is really only going to work on a very select amount of skin tones. People with very light to medium skin tones. Probably the only type of person this palette will work for because it's way too light and chalky for darker skin tones, and it's not really a pleasant looking palette. I don't really see what they were going for other than to just kind of piggyback off the success of the Just Peachy Mattes palette, because that was a really amazing palette. You guys know how much I love that palette. It was in my 2017 favorites. But this palette, I feel like they're just trying to kind of piggyback off that success by throwing together some shades and calling it the sister palette, but I think this is just not well thought out, incohesive, and not really awesome. Also, I don't like the fact that there are shimmers in there. That was one of the reasons I like Just Peachy Mattes palette so much, because it was all mattes, and this one does have shimmers, and I just don't really like Too Faced shimmer shadows. So for that reason, I will be passing on this palette. It is $45, and I think that's kind of steep for a bunch of colors that just kind of look like so, passing on this palette, let me know what you guys think though. Alright, so next up, Hourglass Cosmetics is coming out with the new Graphik palettes, and these are 5 shadow palettes, so little quints. They look to be in the typical like Hourglass packaging. I don't see a price here. I'm looking at Trendmood right now. I don't see a price listed, but I'm sure because it's Hourglass, it will be very expensive. The typical Hourglass palette is somewhere in the $50 range. So right off the bat, when I saw these palettes, I knew I was not going to buy them. There are 4 different color options, and all of them look really bland to me. And I do love Hourglass. I love their brand, and I love that they're going vegan in 2020, so they're definitely going to be one of the main brands that I'm supporting. But these palettes just look very boring to me. I have tried their formula for their eyeshadows, and it is good. I just don't want to pay a ton of money for a palette that I would never use, and B, the colors are just kind of blah to me. So I'm passing on these Hourglass palettes. Let me know what you guys think. I do really love their brand though, and I cannot wait to see what they're coming out with soon. Okay, so next up, I think this actually just released, but it is from the Balm. It is called the Meet Matchmaker palette. So Meet Matchmaker. Cute names, obviously, because the Balm is kind of all about that. This is going to be $30. You get 12 shades in here, and it seems to be a mix between mattes and shimmers. So I'm not going to be buying this. I actually do not like the Balm eyeshadows. I've had one of the worst experiences with a palette from the Balm that I tried out, and that just kind of turned me off the whole brand as a whole. And I think they are considered a drugstore brand technically because they are sold at Target, but they are very expensive. They charge $30 for this palette. So as a brand where I don't really love the quality of their eyeshadows, I just think it's a lot of money, and this just doesn't really interest me in any way. I think the colors, I like the kind of scheme of having a matte and shimmer counterpart, but I think that the colors in here just kind of seem jumbled to me and don't really create a cohesive color story. So for that reason, I'm not going to be buying the new Meet Matchmaker palette, but let me know what you guys think. Next up, Morphe, again, is coming out with another palette called the 25D palette. So I actually own one of the 25 palettes already. I have the 25B, which is called the Bronze Mocha palette. I really like that one. It's got a lot of cool tone and warm tone browns, and then some gorgeous like burgundies on the bottom, so I really like that palette. This one, it seems, to be pretty much all mattes, and it is basically 25 shades of transition shades, so beiges and oranges, and I don't need this palette. I don't think you need this palette either, because chances are if you're watching this video, you probably already have some type of eyeshadow palette. You probably have multiple eyeshadow palettes, because if you're watching this video, you probably do something with makeup. So if you have the Morphe 35O palette, or just any transition shades in general in any of your collection, you don't need this palette, because the only person I could think of that would really need this palette would be a professional makeup artist, because you have a good array of very light transition shades and very dark transition shades. So this could be good if you are a professional makeup artist and you need warm transition shades, but this palette just doesn't really speak to me. It just seems like 25 shades of boring, and it is $18, so it's a good deal. It's very inexpensive, but I don't need it. I don't think you need it either, and really, I am thinking about buying the new 25C palette though. That one's gorgeous. It has some beautiful jewel tones, but this one is just really boring to me, so not buying this one. Alright, so next up is actually a palette that I was really intrigued by, and I actually did have to talk myself out of buying this one because I was originally going to buy it. This is the Violet Voss hashtag palette. So Violet Voss is an indie brand, I guess you could say, and they just came to Sephora recently. I'm not sure if this palette's going to be in Sephora, but I don't know. This palette has an entire row of purples, and you guys know I really love purple eyeshadows, and then the rest of it is a lot of warm tones. So right at my alley. The colors I really love. This is $45, and Violet Voss is a pretty high-end brand, so not surprised in the pricing at all, but the colors looked really gorgeous, and I know that Violet Voss is pretty good quality. I just talked myself out of this palette though, because I don't need this palette because I already have the Huda Beauty Desert Dust palette, which has basically all those purples in there. And then I have a bunch of other warm tone neutral palettes, so I have all the warm tones in there as well. Every single shade in here, I went through the entire palette. Every single shade I do have in my collection already, so I am really intrigued by Violet Voss, and I wouldn't be mad if I had this palette. I'm sure I would use it at some point, but I don't need to be cluttering up my collection with stuff I already have. I want brands to come out with something that's never been done before, that has some uniqueness to it. And this one I feel like it's just kind of adding on to the purple palette trend. I actually am going to be doing a video on my channel called The Battle of the Purple Palettes, so basically comparing a bunch of different purple palettes, like the Kylie one, the Huda Beauty Desert Dusk, Colourpop Femme Rosa, and the Wet n Wild Petal Pusher. But I'm not adding the hashtag palette to my collection. While I do like Violet Voss shadows, I think they're good quality, they're just not the best. I think Anastasia is better, so I might as well save up the $45 and just go buy the next Anastasia palette, if that makes sense. So for that reason, I'm passing on the Violet Voss hashtag palette. I don't know, maybe I'll get it as a gift, or if it goes on sale, I might consider it, but for $45, I don't need to be adding anything to my collection that I already have. Alright, next up is the BH Cosmetics Marvin Corn palette. So this is a unicorn palette, kind of over the unicorn trend. I think this is kind of overdone, especially in the beginning of 2017, and this palette just kind of is coming a little bit too late. If it had come out in maybe the beginning of 2017, I'd probably be all over it. But the colors in here, you get a lot of like nice neutral browns, and you get 3 pops of color. So even though it is supposed to be like a colorful palette, there's only really 3 colors in here that are actually colorful. The rest of them are neutrals. It is going to be under $20 though, so I like that they're going affordable, of course because it's BH Cosmetics, but I'm passing on this palette. Let me know what you guys think. Alright, next up is actually a palette that a lot of people were really excited about. This is from Kat Von D. So Kat Von D is coming out with she already came out with the Metal Matte Mini palette. So this one has 10 shades in here, and it's basically formatted the same way as her original big metal matte palette, which I thought was really cool, but I'm not going to be buying this palette. First of all, the reason I liked the metal matte palette so much was because she had a lot of really colorful mattes and jewel tones and really cool colors. And this one, she went very neutral. She did some like burgundy shades, which I have a lot of them in my collection already. And I did see this in Sephora. I didn't want to swatch it. It is bigger than I thought it was going to be, because I thought it was going to be a little mini palette, but it is actually a pretty decent size. But this, the quality of the shadows, they're decent, they're good. There's just better formulas out there, and this is $39. So I don't, again, like I said with the By the Voss palette, I don't need to be adding stuff to my collection for a very expensive price that I already have. So I'm going to be passing on the Kat Von D Metal Matte palette. I cannot wait to see what she comes out with in the new year, because I really do like a lot of her new releases. But I'm going to be passing on this palette just because I don't need it. Okay, so House of Lashes is coming out with 2 new palettes, the Versailles and the Secret Garden palette. So House of Lashes is very famous for their lashes. I really do like the lashes that they have, but I'm not going to be buying these eyeshadows because when I think House of Lashes and Sephora collection, I don't really think of amazing quality eyeshadow palettes. The color schemes do look really pretty, and I was interested to see if they would be good quality, but unfortunately I have seen some reviews on YouTube here and they just don't seem to be amazing. They seem to be pretty chalky and lacking in pigmentation. So for that reason, I'm skipping out on these House of Lashes palettes, especially because they are $46. So that's kind of pricey. That's like around the ballpark of an Anastasia palette, which I find to be amazing quality, and if this is not going to be good quality for $45, I don't need it. So the colors are pretty, the packaging is stunning, but I'm not buying this palette just because I don't need anything like that. Okay, next up, Dose of Colors is coming out with 2 new 5-color eyeshadow palettes. I think these are already out. So they are coming out with the Sassy Siennas and Blushing Berries. Sassy Siennas, on first glance, looks very much like the mattes in the Naked Heat palette. So I already have the Naked Heat palette. Don't need this one. I gotta admit, Blushing Berries really did draw me in. The colors in here are right up my alley. You have a lot of really nice burgundy shades and berries. But I don't need this palette. I have the Too Faced Just Peachy Mattes palette, so a lot of the colors in this palette are already in that. And just in general, I already have these colors in my collection. So I do like Dose of Colors. I do really want to try a palette from them, but these ones just aren't really doing it for me. So I'm going to be skipping on these 2 as well. Let me know what you guys think. If you've tried Dose of Colors eyeshadows, what you guys recommend. Okay, so next up, Tarte is coming out with a new palette. They actually just dropped it, and it is called the Foil Finger Paints Shadow Palette. So this comes with 5 very shimmery colors in there, and the packaging is stunning. I saw it in Sephora. I did actually go swatch it in person. The outer packaging is absolutely beautiful. It's covered in gorgeous like blue stones, and then the inner packaging, of course, it's gold reflective. Feels very high quality, of course. And then the eyeshadow pans are actually a lot bigger than I thought they were going to be. The palette is pretty large, but I'm not going to be buying this palette. It is $39, and you do get 5 shades in there only, so I feel like all the shadows in there I already have in my collection. I could totally create the same effect on my eyes because I already have the colors, and while they do swatch beautifully, they're very shimmery, super foiled. I don't need it, and I don't need to be spending $40 on 5 eyeshadows. So for that reason, I'm not buying this eyeshadow palette, but let me know what you guys think. It certainly is gorgeous. If you like to work with a lot of shimmer shades and you don't have these shimmer shades in your collection already, I would recommend buying this one because the quality is amazing, of course, and I think the packaging is stunning. So if you are into that kind of thing, I guess go for this one, but for me, I'm just not going to be buying it because I don't need it. So next up is this palette called the Jessie palette by Jessie James Decker. So Jessie James Decker is I want to say she's a singer. I would assume that because there's musical notes on the palette, but this is a palette with 8 colors in here, and they are very, very neutral. You got 4 shimmery, like neutral bronzy shades, and then 4 matte browns. So first of all, I wouldn't be buying this palette anyways because the colors are pretty boring, and to be honest, I don't really like any of them in there. I already have browns I like a lot more than those. Also, this is $48 for 8 shadows from a new brand that you don't know if it's going to be good or not, and I just feel like that's kind of an insane, especially because the person I would think would be purchasing this one because of the colors would be a beginner, but a beginner doesn't need to be spending $48 on 8 eyeshadow shades. I think that's just kind of an insane price and kind of ridiculous. So for that reason, definitely passing on the Jessie James Decker palette, just because the price is kind of crazy and the colors just kind of bore me. But I think it is cool that she's coming out with a palette, and I think all the best to her. I hope she does well with it, but personally it's not for me. Alright, next up I wanted to mention a brand that I really, really love. Kevyn Aucoin, of course. He's a legendary makeup artist. He's just one of the greatest of all time, and he's passed away, so that's really sad. But I really love the legacy he's created with his brand. I think his brand is just amazing. They make amazing quality products, and he's a legend. So I really do love his brand, and they are coming out with the Electropop palette. So I really like it when brands kind of step out of what they normally do and experiment with something else. So Kevyn Aucoin is doing that. He's known for really classic neutral colors, really good complexion products, but he's coming out with this really shimmery, colorful eyeshadow palette. So it's all shimmers, and it looks to be really electric and gorgeous, and I do like the colors he chose. I think they're very unique. However, I'm not going to be buying this because it is close to $60. It's $57 for, how many shades? 12 shades. So that's really expensive, first of all, and you do have a lot of nice metallics and duochrome, so I wouldn't be mad if I got this palette. I just think it's really expensive, and I'm not going to go drop $57 on an eyeshadow palette, especially from a brand that is known for doing other things. This is kind of their foray into the new realm of like eyeshadows and stuff. I would have to see it in person, I think. I'm going to go swatch it and see if it's at Sephora, but I don't think I'm going to be buying this just because it's really, really expensive. I do love duochromes, and I do love good shimmer shades. I would need to see it in person, of course, but I'm really just leaning towards not buying this because it's really expensive, and I probably don't need it anyways. So passing on the Kevyn Aucoin Electropop palette. I do think it's really cool that Kevyn Aucoin's brand is just stepping away, doing something new, and I really enjoy that because there hasn't been a lot of stuff like this coming out on the market, so it's really cool, but I'm probably not going to buy it. So Urban Decay is coming out with a new eyeshadow palette, actually a whole collection with the YouTuber named Kristen Leanne. I am subscribed to her. I do watch her every now and then. I'm not like a huge mega fan, but I do enjoy her content sometimes. So Kristen Leanne came out with the Kaleidoscope palette, and that's what I'm going to be talking about today. It has a bunch of different eyeshadow pan shapes, so I think it's a cool idea. It does kind of seem a little jumbled to me. I think they could have maybe formatted it a little better, but I do like the idea, and I do understand what she was going for. It does seem unique, but the colors in here, very colorful, of course, and I do love a good colorful palette. I wear a lot of colorful looks. But I'm not going to be buying this one just because the colors seem to be very neon, and I prefer like rich jewel tone colors. And there's a lot of really like greens in here, like neon blues, neon pinks, and that just doesn't really attract me. So for that reason, I'm skipping out on the Kristen Leanne collection, but let me know if you're picking up anything or the Kaleidoscope palette. And yeah. So Shop Hush carries a lot of dupes for really high-end palettes, and they just released the new Natasha Denona dupes, so the dupes for the Lila palette and the Sunset palette. So I'm not going to be buying the one for the Sunset palette. It's called Solstice, and I will pop a picture right here, of course, but I'm not buying this one just because I already do have the Colourpop Yes Please palette. So I don't need the Solstice palette because the Yes Please palette is a perfect dupe for the Natasha Denona Sunset palette, and it's only $16. This one is going to be $24, I believe, so a little bit more expensive, and I've seen some reviews. The quality doesn't seem to be like amazing high-end, like Anastasia level quality, but it seems to be like pretty decent quality. So I would say it's probably around the same quality as Colourpop, but I already have the Colourpop one, so I don't need the new Solstice palette. Alright, next up, Colourpop came out with the Double Entendre palette. So Colourpop has been releasing new eyeshadow palettes up the wazoo, like so crazy. So many new eyeshadow palettes have dropped this year and last year. So they just came out with the Double Entendre palette, I want to say in December, and they also came out with the Take Me Home palette at the same time, which had 6 shades in it, very similar color schemes, all neutral browns, and neither of those would really be up my alley just because I already have a ton of neutral browns, but I already did get the, I got the little Take Me Home palette for Christmas as a Christmas gift, so for that reason, I mean, I will be using that one because it's really cute and I love Colourpop eyeshadows, but for that reason, since I already have the little Take Me Home one, I do not need the Double Entendre palette just because it seems like very, very similar color schemes. So for that reason, skipping out on the Double Entendre one. I do really like Colourpop shadows though, and I think the palettes are amazing, so if you see any color schemes that really draw you in, I would recommend picking it up because they are really, really good. But I don't really need the Double Entendre palette, so I'm skipping on this one. Next up, Kylie Cosmetics came out with her holiday collection. I know I'm kind of late because she came out with this in November, maybe late October, but she came out with the Naughty and Nice palette. So first of all, the Naughty palette. I am not going to be buying this one. I do like the unique color scheme, and I think that it's really cool because no one really came out with these colors, so this is something very new, and I feel like I've kind of been getting bored with new releases just because they look all the same, but this one looks very different, so I gotta applaud Kylie for doing something different. But I'm not buying this palette just because the one shade in here that really, really attracts me is that nice forest matte green in there. And from the reviews I've seen, it's kind of patchy. It doesn't perform as well as I thought it would. So I don't need to be spending $44 on a palette where the one color that I really, really like just doesn't perform the way I want it to. So for that reason, I'm skipping on the Naughty palette. I do like the unique color scheme though. And then next up, the Nice palette. A lot of people have been saying it's a very basic, neutral, like warm tone palette, but I don't think that's true. I think there's a lot of different colors in here that are very unique. She did include some really cool duochromes and shimmers in here. I really like this one duochrome shade that's kind of like a pinky shift. It's really pretty. I'm not going to buy this one either just because I've heard some things about Kylie Cosmetics shadows. I think she doesn't have a return policy, so that really bothers me because if I don't like my palette, I can't return it and I can't get my money back, so it's pretty expensive and I'd be losing a bit of money. But also, I've heard decent things about her shadows. They're not amazing quality like Anastasia again, but they're not like terrible. So I am trying out the purple palette, and that will be my first like foray into Kylie Cosmetics eyeshadows, but I don't think I'm going to be buying the Nice palette just because I haven't heard the most amazing things, and also I don't like that there's not a return policy. So for that reason, I'm skipping out on this one. Let me know what you guys think if you bought either the Naughty or the Nice palette and what you guys like more. Alright, next up, another palette from Urban Decay. Again, I swear I don't have a vendetta against any of these brands. I'm just mentioning stuff that I personally will not be picking up from them. But Urban Decay came out with the Distortion palette, so this was a surprise drop. I am actually surprised because I haven't seen a lot of YouTubers talking about this palette. I think the only person I've seen talking about this was Samantha March, and I really love her channel. But this palette is really unique to me again. I really like that Urban Decay is doing something different. So you get a lot of really nice jewel tone shimmers in there, and I love jewel tone colors. And then the entire top row are distortion shades. So they're like duochrome iridescent shades that you can put on top of any other shadow that you have, like a dark shadow, and it'll like transform the color. So I think that's really cool. It's a really interesting idea. But if you already have the Kat Von D Alchemist palette or the Anastasia Moonchild or Aurora Glow kits, you can do the same thing with those colors. Personally, I don't need this. I do like the idea of a palette full of duochrome shades, but this one's just not going to do it for me. It's $48, so pretty expensive. And yeah, I don't really need this one because I already have my Anastasia Moonchild, so I can do the same thing. So for that reason, passing on this one. Let me know what you guys think. I do like the concept of it though, and it seems like a really unique palette. Alright, and then another palette that I will not be buying is the new Colored Raine Cheers to the Beauty palette. Just because I really want to try out Colored Raine eyeshadows, and they have a lot of those mini palettes, but they also have the Queen of Hearts palette, and I'm more set on that one just because the colors are everything. Like, those colors are stunning, and I really have my heart set on that palette. So for that reason, if I'm going to try out Colored Raine eyeshadows, I will try out the Queen of Hearts palette. I won't buy the Cheers to the Beauty palette. So I don't know, I've seen some good reviews on that one, but personally I'm not going to be picking it up. If I do make an order from Colored Raine, it will be for the Queen of Hearts palette and not the Cheers to the Beauty. Alright, next up, Melt Cosmetics is actually a brand that I've really been wanting to try for a long time, and they just came out with a new melt stack called the She's in Parties palette. So it's a stack of 4 eyeshadows, and this one seems like right up my alley with the colors. Some mauvey shades, like a ruby burgundy shimmer, and then a really rusty deep berry matte. So these look like gorgeous colors, and I've heard amazing things about Melt Cosmetics eyeshadows. I know this is somewhere in the $40 range for 4 eyeshadows, so that's really expensive. They are pretty big pans, granted, but still extremely expensive. And Melt Cosmetics, I know that they're good quality, and I really wanted to try something from them, and it seems like it's going to be right up my alley, the colors, but for whatever reason, I'm just not excited about it. Like, if I'm not excited by a release, I'm not going to force myself to buy it, especially if it's really expensive. So for that reason, I am passing on the Melt Cheese and Parties palette. I have heard some good things about it, but I don't know, it's just not really drawing me in like I thought it would. So for that reason, I'm passing, but let me know what you think. My final one that I am not buying are the new Smashbox eyeshadow palettes. Smashbox came out with the little photo edit eyeshadow trios. So there's 3 eyeshadows in these little pans, and they're little small ones. They're designed to look like the lens of a camera. So I've seen these in person. The size of the eyeshadows, it's like this big for the palette, and so the eyeshadows are pretty decently sized, but there are 3 of them, and it's $22. So it's like $7 an eyeshadow shade, which is kind of insane to me. None of the color combinations really seem to speak to me. I don't really like Smashbox eyeshadows. I had a roommate who had a Smashbox palette, so she let me try it. And I tried it out, and it just didn't really wow me. The shimmers were barely showing up. The mattes were terrible. They just didn't have any pigmentation. So I'm not a huge fan of Smashbox eyeshadows. I think the concept seems interesting, but I could never create a full look with only 3 eyeshadows. I'm sorry. That's just not really my thing. So for that reason, I'm not buying the new Smashbox photo edit little eye trios, but let me know what you guys think. It seems like a cool way to try out Smashbox eyeshadows, but it's not for me, so I'm not buying it. Alright, and then just for a little bit of positivity at the end of the video, I'm going to tell you guys 5 palettes that I will be buying. So the first one I'm buying is the new BH Cosmetics Zodiac palette. This has a nice row of baked shimmers on the outer side and then a nice array of mattes in the inside, and they're really gorgeous jewel-toned, colorful matte shades. So this is really what I've been searching for. I want some really interesting, colorful matte shades, and this gives it to me. So I'm going to be buying this palette. It is pretty inexpensive. It's around the $20 mark, so not super pricey at all, and I have seen some good reviews of it. I will be picking up the BH Cosmetics Zodiac palette. Yeah, let me know what you guys think about that one. I do want to buy something from Hallberg. She creates the most amazing, she's an indie brand of course, and she creates the most amazing, like, pressed shadows that are pressed in such a way that it's basically art. It literally are so beautiful, and I think the work she does is amazing. So I definitely want to support her and try out something from her brand. I think she does amazing stuff, and I definitely want to try out something from her in the year of 2018. So Hallberg is now on my list, and I really want to pick something up from her. Alright, another thing I really want to buy is the Becca Light Waves palette. This is a new holographic highlighter palette, and I think it's really cool. I'm not personally over the trend of iridescent highlighters. I think it's a really cool trend. I hope it doesn't go away anytime soon because I love colorful highlights. And these ones are gorgeous. You get Moonstone, Pink Sapphire, and Prismatic Amethyst. So pretty wearable as far as colorful highlighters go, and I really love the Becca formula. So I will be buying this one. Also, it's only $34, which I expected it to be a lot more. So I'm pretty surprised with the price, and I will be picking this one up. So yeah, Becca is on my list. Alright, next up, I know I mentioned the Shop Hush Bad Habit Beauty dupes for the Natasha Denona palettes, and I said I wouldn't be buying the one that's a dupe for the Sunset, but I will be buying the Lila dupe, which is called Supernova. This one is a very purple tone palette, so I might be adding this one into the Battle of the Purple palettes, but this just looks gorgeous. I have gone through the shades in there. I don't have anything like this in my collection, especially that gorgeous, like, kind of amethyst purple shade. It's so beautiful. So I really want to add this to my collection. I think it looks gorgeous, and yeah, I really want to try something out from Shop Hush, so I think this will be the first palette that I buy from them. So I really like the Men for Matte palettes from e.l.f. They're $10 each. They're super amazing quality, and the colors are very pigmented. So this looks gorgeous, right up my alley. Like I said, I really love colorful matte shades, and I really like kind of exploring that realm, so I think this would be a great place to start, especially because I know e.l.f. quality to be really good. So I will be buying this palette. It's only $10. Can't miss it. So really, really good, and I think this is one of the best releases as of lately. So that concludes my palette anti-haul. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe down below, and in the comments, please let me know if you're going to be picking up any of these palettes, if you disagree with me. Let me know what you guys think. I'd really love to hear your opinions. So yeah, thank you so much for watching my channel. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And if you made it to the very end of this video, I love you so much.